Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to make this beautiful scarf. The texture is rich, it's beautiful, it's dense. It can be a unisex scarf because of its texture, and the color is really beautiful. So for this project you will need yarn, and for the yarn I used Robin. It's 100% acrylic. It's a chunky yarn, which I recommend because we want the scarf to get a little bit of body and to be warm. And then this yarn is color number 7072, so that's the color, and it's 100 grams, and I needed about 3 balls of this to make the full scarf because the main body was made with 2 balls, and then the third ball only made the fringes. So I think that's it for the yarn. And then you'll also need a measuring tape because I'll be measuring the total length of my scarf. Then you'll also need a crochet hook. For the crochet hook, I'm using a 5.5mm crochet hook. And then you'll also need a darning needle to weave in your ends. And I think that's basically it. So let's get started. So I'm trying to get the middle yarn so that the ball doesn't move around as I work. And then this project can be a very good gift, especially in this season, which is the festive season. For those who are looking for a quick Christmas present for your loved ones, you can try out this because I made it in just a day, of course with breaks and all, but in total I used about 3 to 4 hours to make the full scarf. So you're going to grab your hook and your yarn, and you're going to make a slip knot. So you're going to just make a twist like this, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, and yarn over, pull through. So I started with a chain of 22, and that chain should be an even number. If at all you prefer to use a different number of foundation chains. So 1, 2, 3, so I have my 22 chains here, and this measures about 7 inches total. And this is going to be the thickness of your scarf from here to here. So I have 22 chains here, and that is 7 inches. So if you prefer 9 inches, go ahead and chain more. If you prefer 5 inches, chain less. But the number of foundation chains should be an even number. So let's get started on the body of the scarf. You're going to go into the second chain from the hook, into the back bump. You have, this is the front side of the chain, but we have the back bump. That's where we're going to be working. So you're going to go into that back bump with a slip stitch. For a slip stitch, you're going to just insert your hook, pull through, and pull through all, like that. That's a slip stitch. And into the next chain, into the back bump, you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into that back bump, like that. Pull up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook, and then yarn over, pull through all, and that's a half double crochet in the US terms. So let's do that again. Into the next chain in the back bump, you're going to insert your hook, pull up, and then pull through all. So that's a slip stitch, and make sure your slip stitches are not very tight. So yarn over. Into the next chain in the back bump, you're going to place a half double crochet. Next, slip stitch. Next, half double crochet. So all the stitches of the very first row should be worked in the back bump of the chains. So we are keeping on alternating between half double crochet, as you can see here, and then slip stitch into the next. And you're going to repeat that all the way across. Just follow what I'm doing. Half double crochet and then slip stitch. For those who would like to purchase this scarf, you can go ahead and check the description box below. You can make an order with me and I can customize it to any color of your choice. Working into the back bump may be a little bit tricky. If at all you started your foundation chain on a tighter tension, but if you didn't, this should be a walkover. So make sure when you're working your foundation chain, your chains are not very tight. So we are coming to the end and I'm placing a half double crochet into the second last chain, and then into the very last chain, which is this one, in the back bump, you're going to place a slip stitch. And make sure it's not tight. As you can see, I leave room for me to work the next row. So this is what we have for our very first row. So we're going on to row 2. You're going to chain 1, turn your work, and into the very first slip stitch, because we ended our row with a slip stitch. So go into both loops. As you can see, there are 2 loops on my hook. You're going to insert your hook and place a slip stitch into the slip stitch. Like that. And you can see I haven't made it very tight, so that when I come back to work into it, I'm actually able to work into it so that I don't fidget with it. So after this, you're going to prepare for a half double crochet and place a half double crochet in the half double crochet from the previous row. So yarn over, pull through all, and then slip stitch into the next slip stitch, half double crochet into the next half double crochet from the previous row. And we're going to repeat this all the way across. Just watch what I'm doing. I hope I'm explaining it well. If you're enjoying this video so far, please give this video a thumbs up. It helps my channel a lot. And leave a comment down below to let me know what you think about the tutorial and how it's going for you. Are you finding this stitch very easy for you, or it's a little bit complex? And also don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so that you're notified whenever I'm posting new content on my channel. Alright, so we are alternating between slip stitch and half double crochet. So slip stitch, half double crochet into the second last stitch, and then slip stitch into the very last stitch. So we're placing 1 slip stitch into it, and this is what we have for row 2. So some of the things to note are we start with a slip stitch and end with a slip stitch, and then when we are working, the moment you start your slip stitch, the next should be a half double crochet, and you start alternating between the 2 stitches. And I think those are the only 2 stitches that you should know for this project. Just a chain, half double crochet, and a slip stitch, and this is called the evenmost stitch. So we're going on to row 3, and row 3 is going to basically be the same as row 2. You're going to chain 1, turn your work, slip stitch into the very first slip stitch. As you can see, mine wasn't tight, so when it comes to working into it, it's just a walkover. I just pull through and make sure I haven't made it very tight. So that's my very first slip stitch, and then prepare for a half double crochet and go into the next stitch with a half double crochet, then slip stitch. So we're just repeating what we did for row 2, and that's the row that we are going to keep repeating until we get the length of the scarf that we want. This stitch can be really beautiful on a sweater. I am planning to make one for you guys. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I'll be able to pull it off, because I think this is the very first time I'm using this stitch, and I fell in love with it as I worked the scarf, this scarf here. Okay. So remember I told you every row ends with a slip stitch. So that means as you work, as you come towards the end, the second last stitch should be a half double crochet. So that the very last one is a slip stitch. So that marks the end of row 3. So continue working your scarf until you get the length that you want. Or if you want to make the same exact as mine, I'll be letting you know how many rows that I did for my scarf, and I show you how to go on from there. Okay guys, so I did a total of 174 rows. This was unplanned, but I just made sure that I finished my 2 balls of yarn. So if you want to get the same exact length as mine, if you use the same hook and you have the same tension as mine, you have something very close to my length. So I have a total of 174, and I managed to finish 2 balls of yarn of the 100 grams of each ball. If you want it longer, please feel free to make more rows for your scarf, but this is enough for me. And if I'm to measure, hold on. I have a total of, I'm not going to stretch it out, just a plain measurement. I think I have a total of about 60 inches in total. So for those who are unsure about the measurement, just go for 60 inches without stretching out your scarf. So the next thing that we're going to do is to attach fringes. So this can be done in 2 ways. You can just chain one and cut your yarn at this point, but if you're going for the twisted fringe, which I'm going for, then you have to do something different. So you guys know I'm all about the final touch, and this is where I put all my emphasis so that we get a very good final touch. So you're going to need your measuring tape. You are going to need your measuring tape, and then after your very last stitch, which is this one, after the slip stitch, actually I chained one. So after the slip stitch here, you're going to chain one, turn your work, and this is row 175, which is going to create the fringe. So you're going to make a slip stitch into the very first stitch like that, and then you're going to pull this strand. I learned this from, I think, Lion Brand. There's a video they did on how to make a twisted fringe. This is where I learned this method from. And you're going to pull until you have a total of 16 inches. 16 inches total. So as you can see, I am pulling my yarn until I have 16 inches or somewhere around there. So from 0 to 16, like that. So I am going to just measure that distance and mark it on my table because I can't keep using the measuring tape. I'm going to just place a mark on this table here so that, okay, I'll mark that little black spot so that every time I make another one, this is how I measure it. So after this, you're going to hold on to this yarn here and you're going to start twisting this yarn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. We want a total of 40 times. Seven, 38, 39, and 40. So the moment you're done with your 40 twists, you're going to go into the next stitch. As you can see here, just hold somewhere in the middle there, like that, and go into the next stitch, which is this one, which is the half double crochet, and place a slip stitch in there, like that. And you can pull on it, and this is what it has created. So after you slip stitch here, alright, after you slip stitch into the next stitch, which is the half double crochet, you're going to pull through. Just pull, and I am going to pull it until this mark that I made here, from the end of my table until the mark. That's when I know I have the 16 inches. And then I'm going to start twisting 40 times. That's so when you're done with your 40 twists, you're going to go into the next stitch with a slip stitch, into the next slip stitch, because the next stitch is going to be a slip stitch. And after, you make a slip stitch into that stitch and just pull on that, and this is what it's going to create. And we are going to continue doing this all the way across. The moment you do the slip stitch here, you pull the next strand to 16 inches or whichever point you marked. After that, you make the twists until you come to the end of your row. So as you can see, that twist keeps the fringes in place. You're not worried about them splitting or separating or untwisting. The moment you do the slip stitch, everything is held into place, and these look really cute at the end of the scarf. I think I'm pleased with the outcome. So just go ahead and keep repeating this all the way across, and I'll meet you back at the end of the row. Alright guys, this is what everything looks like when I put the fringe on both ends of the scarf, and you can see it's well finished, and I'm so in love with this design. I think I'll do some more of these and you'll be seeing them on the page. But I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Make sure you give it a thumbs up if you did, and don't forget to leave a comment down below. It really helps my channel to reach other people who do crochet. And also don't forget to subscribe for more amazing tutorials like these ones, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.